there's two things that people voted for in the group. One was tips for communicating honestly, and the other one is the importance of being yourself. Those two are intricately linked. They cannot be separated. So if you want to communicate honestly with other people and you don't know how to be yourself, that's a nightmare. Okay, so we're going to be covering that and go through some of those things. That's important. Well, I think somebody else was joining just now. That's fine. Okay, it seems like that's fine. That's fine. Okay, 14 people. Alrighty, now we can start. Okay, so tips on communicating honestly, the importance of being yourself. What does that even mean? Let's start with the second one. All right, the importance of being yourself. If you have to think of somebody that you think are just themselves, what comes to mind? Do they say things just what goes on in the mind? Is it their behavior? Is it their energy? What do you think you pick up when you think of somebody who's just being themselves? Usually, if somebody's just themselves, we feel quite comfortable in the presence. Okay. It's like picking up somebody's energy. If they're just themselves, you feel quite comfortable in somebody's presence. If they are uncomfortable with themselves, we usually pick it up. And you would see that often, well, if you go to professional stage shows and stuff, one of the things that people do on the stage, the energy that they send out on the stage, if that energy was not confident, if they don't believe in themselves on the stage, how do you think the crowd will react? Will the crowd pick it up? Yes or no? The crowd will pick it up. Okay, that energy that you exude, that you show to a crowd of people is the energy that they will pick up. And it's fascinating because animals, people, we do pick up energy if you become aware of it. It is important then to have an energetic structure that you're comfortable with yourself. Now, how do we get comfortable with ourselves? In today's day and age, wow, the self-judgment is insane. People like judging themselves from head to toe, from their actions, their words, apologizing for who they are, apologizing for what they did, apologizing for what they said, even if they are not wrong. I've had so many clients that I talk to and they start apologizing. And I'm like, what are you apologizing for? This is not, we're not here to apologize. We're here to talk and sort out a problem. Apologies are not allowed. Because if you feel the need to apologize for being who you are, you feel the need, or you have a fear of judgment. Okay, so what are people going to think about you? So if you have to think about it, how do we find out who we are? What we are very rarely changes from birth to death. You are a human being, right? So the what part of what we are is quite stable. Okay, from birth to death, you are a human being. You need certain things. You need food, you need oxygen, you need movement. Okay, you need connection, right? You need sunlight, right? So there's certain things that we as human beings need, but who we are, that's a totally different story. Okay, that is a very, very slippery slope to walk if you decide on asking that question, who am I? Because you will be someone different in everybody else's eyes. A good exercise to do, if you want to find out, is to ask maybe 4 or 5 people close to you. Okay. Who do they think you are? How do they see you? Okay, it's an interesting exercise, but you must be ready for some interesting answers as well. How do people see you? It's nice to ask, and it's nice to ask actually, how do you see me? And you can be honest, because that's part of the tips of being honest, is not to take things too personally. If you take things too personally, then you've got a problem. All right. So the importance of being yourself, why is it important, you think? If there's 8 billion people on this planet, why is it important to be yourself? Have you ever thought about it? Can you just be the same as anybody else? Is your makeup the exact same thing as anybody else on this planet? All right. If you dig deep enough, no, we are all actually different. Cultures, races, everything. Even the same community, if you come from the same descendancy, there's differences. Okay, so what does that mean to us? If you want to be yourself, right, what would you say? I want you to actually write this in the chat box. Observing someone that's themselves, what do you see? Okay. It will be a world full of fake people. All right. What will be a world full of fake people, Linda? If what? What happens? If you observe somebody being themselves, what do they look like? Have you ever met someone that can just be themselves? I want you to write in the chat box quickly. Just write what with the authentic font. Okay. Authenticity. Okay. We use that word, but what does that word mean? What is it? Oh, happy person. Okay. Amory says a happy person. Fauna says authentic. Okay. So there are things that if you ask yourself, you'll see the answers overlap a bit. Person is authentic. They're usually happy. Happy in their own skin. Yes, Fauna is exactly what I want to say. Real. Rina. Okay. Hey, real. That's an interesting one. Confident. Okay. So they're real. They're confident. They're a happy person. They're authentic. They're happy in their own skin. Interesting. All right. So you'll see different people observe different things when you ask them what is what is a person that is just who they are. Okay. Authenticity is the first one. How do we define authenticity? You can only feel it, right? It's when you look. Okay. If everyone pretends, and yes, I have a work friend cut straight to the bone and has amazing energy. Okay. If everyone pretends, yes. Pretending. Lisa, eish, daar's min wat nie maskers dra nie. Okay, so masks. To have a mask in society is sort of necessary, but what happens is we put on a thick mask. That mask becomes such a habit that we very rarely take it off around people or around people. Okay. So in today's day and age, in society, at work, you cannot just have your mask off. You can, but it's going to be a bit difficult. Very few people can pull it off. Okay. Just to be a maskless individual, just to be who they are in every situation. Okay. So the mask is there for a reason. We put it up for protection. And when you are alone and your alone time and you still have a mask for yourself, that's a rough one. Then you'll never find out who you are. Okay, so let's come back to the first tip for being honest. Acceptance. If you cannot accept a situation, if you cannot accept your moment, the situation in the moment, there's no way you can be honest. Okay, you have to accept what's happening to you, what's happening with you, what's happening for you, for other people. That's not an easy one. We like to change things. We like to be in control of things. We don't like to accept. We like to judge and to actually try and change people. Good luck. That doesn't work. So can you look at someone with total acceptance of that person and of yourself in that moment? That is an amazing thing to practice. If you can just sit and be with someone and just observe without any expectations. Okay, acceptance doesn't require expectations. If you expect something the whole time, right, there's no acceptance. I expect you to do this. I expect you to do that. I expect you to, the expectations are a nightmare, right? But we are taught from a young age to have certain expectations, or there are certain expectations placed on us, how to behave, what to say, what to do, how you behave in company, what image you must uphold. All those things are a bit rough because if we don't even know who we are, how the hell are we supposed to know what image to uphold? Okay, and that's a nightmare because then there's confusing communication in the internal world. And if there's confusing communication in the internal world, how the hell is it possible to express that to the external world? You cannot. Okay. So confidence, yes, but we actually had a discussion. When was this? A couple of months ago, a friend and myself. What's the difference between confidence and arrogance? So weird question, but they look very similar. Somebody who's confident, arrogant, can have this. What's the difference between confidence and arrogance? It was a fascinating question, and the only answer I could ever come up with is arrogance is confidence without authenticity and essence. Okay, so the arrogance seems to not have essence and authenticity. Okay, people are really arrogant and there's no essence behind them. All right, almost arrogance is negative, yes. You get an energetic vibe from people who are arrogant. It just doesn't feel right. People who are confident, calm, there's a different feeling. So there's a different communication happening on the background. Most of us know this, but we don't think about it. Okay. When you step into the room, you get a vibe, or you get a vibe from a person or somebody. It's like, yeah, trust that vibe. It is very rarely wrong if you learn how to use it. Okay. It's a nice guiding mechanism to trust that vibe. Now, when it comes to yourself, and you have to trust your own intuition, your own judgment, your own capabilities. If we put ourselves out there, we are making ourselves what? Vulnerable. Okay, we are making ourselves vulnerable and opening ourselves up. Vulnerability is a necessity for an honest communication. If you want to have honest communication, you need to be vulnerable. There's no other way. How can you hide yourself and expect somebody to be honest if you don't even do it yourself? Okay, so being vulnerable is to open up, no matter what that is. If it's in a difficult business meeting, if it's conflict resolution, if it's a partner that you need to communicate with, if it's somebody that you're attracted to, if it's somebody that's hurt your feelings, all those things require a certain amount of vulnerability to open yourself and say, but this is how I feel. This is how it made me feel. This is how I read this situation. How do I do this? Okay, open communication, vulnerability, it is crucial. Right. Tablet Home says, I trust my gut. Okay, Tablet Home. Wonder who that is. We were told growing up, if you cry, I will give you the reason to cry. So you grow up to hold back and pretend, yeah, to be okay. It took years to learn. Yeah, exactly, Linda. I will give you a reason to cry. That's the worst thing to tell everybody or tell a child, but we know what that means. Especially in the Afrikaans community. Well, I think in the Afrikaans community, because I grew up in the Afrikaans community, that one I heard a lot. So jy rede gee om te huil. What the hell? What was that about? Think back, I'm like, holy crap. No wonder we're a bit crazy. It's like, what? You're crying and then somebody tells you, I'll give you a reason to cry. But you have a reason to cry. That's why you're crying already. Now somebody wants to give you another reason to cry. And it's like, what? Why? Why? Okay. It's fascinating to me, that one. But it does damage. Okay, and it's difficult to unlearn that stuff, especially if we learn it as kids. So, yes, definitely. You must see what the authority figures in your life taught you about emotions, about communication, about relationships. It's a scary process to go through, but it's a worthwhile one. Okay, who taught you about relationships? Who taught you about religion? Who taught you about communication? Who taught you about sex? Who taught you about politics? It's people's opinions most of the time. We heard their opinions, we took it upon ourselves, and it's like, oh, okay, nice. And again, how much effort does it take to make or give an opinion? It's not really hard work to give an opinion. Okay. It's more hard work to actually listen to somebody authentically, to sit and try and understand them from their perspective, to communicate with them on the same level, not on a judgment level higher or lower than them. Okay, you meet them in the same place. Right. So vulnerability is important for honesty. Actually, crucial. Vulnerability, if you practice it enough, that leads to authenticity. This word that we throw around, this authentic thing. Okay. Do animals lie? Animals can't lie. Okay. They might feel guilty, like the doggies and the domesticated animals. They feel guilty if they've done something wrong. And I don't know, you must have seen those videos where people ask the dogs, was this you? And the dog's like, shit, they have this guilt. Okay. But they don't lie. Okay. Animals never lie. Right. But we do. And we lie. Why? Because we are afraid of rejection. We're afraid of the repercussions of what might happen if we tell somebody the truth. Okay, and we see that everywhere. Now, what is the definition of truth? If you have to type in the chat box, I see we've got some active people there. I like it. What is the definition of truth? What is truth? If you have to think about it. What would truth be? If you have to just sum it up in your own mind, what would you say truth is? Truth concerning people, because there's like universal truths, but just concerning people. What does a truthful person do? Truth is the way I see it. Okay, Elmarie. It's quite an enlightened statement, because truth is very subjective, yes. Fact for the person, Barbara. Well, hello, Barbara, Tablet Home. Okay, now I know what Tablet Home is. All right. It's a fact for the person. Okay, so truth is the way I see it, and a fact for the person. All right. If we think about truth and people, there's only two ingredients. Your actions and your words need to align. Okay, it's actually not that difficult. If you say something and you do the same thing, that equates truth. If you say something and do an opposite thing, that breaks trust. Okay, we like to talk a lot. Okay, I also talk a lot, but I have to because it's part of my job. But saying a lot of things and not having the actions to back it up, that breaks trust. Okay. For instance, let's have a very, very simple example. Okay. If you say you want to lose weight, and I'm going to lose weight and live healthy, but you stuff your body full of alcohol, full of sweets, full of sugar, full of unhealthy food, you don't move. Those are the actions. The words are, I'm going to lose weight, but you change nothing in the physical realm. That breaks trust, and that's a lie. Okay. And if you lie, the body cannot lie either. Okay, good luck. You try and let your body lie. And the reason for the body not lying is the body can always only be in the present. Okay. The present is all what the body can experience. You cannot put your body in the past. You cannot put your body in the future. If you can, please reach out to me. I would like to see it. It would be amazing. Okay. Send your body to the future, send it back. Maybe, the way the world is going, but yeah, not yet. Okay. So, question from Yolandi quickly. Will the truth set you free? Oh, yeah, that thing about the truth shall set you free. That can be interpreted in so many ways, Yolandi. But there is no such thing as the truth. There is only a truth. Okay, people who say they've got the truth, they are lying. I'm sorry. They've got a truth. This universe is huge. The expansion of this universe is amazing. What goes on around us is insane. And then someone will say, I've got the truth. I'm like, no. If you start like that, good luck. There's no way. Impossible for you to have the truth. A truth. The more truths you have from a truth, the setting free part comes being comfortable with yourself and with your world around you and making peace with your environment and the situation that you're in. I think that's why they say the truth will set you free. Okay. What is a universal truth? You are going to die. Pretty much all of us on this call, we're going to die someday. Okay. We were born, right? That's a truth. So you were born and you will die. In between, what you do with all those little truths, how you live them out, how you apply your value system to life, that will set you free. That will give you peace. Okay, and the fact that you're a temporary being on this planet will give you even more peace. For some people, it's a horrifying experience, but it's not really. It will make you appreciate life because you are going to die. Okay, the time is running out. All of us, our times are running out. So not the truth will set you free. A truth will always give you a certain amount of freedom. I don't know if you've experienced it, but if you've spoken to someone and there was just openness, vulnerability, honesty, and acceptance, what happens in that space? It is amazing what happens in that space. It just feels so comfortable. There's no stress, no judgment. It's just being. And that being, that feeling, I think, is the truth that people are looking for. There's a bigger thing surrounding us. And you only experience it in those moments of vulnerability and openness and honesty. Okay, I don't know if you guys have had the privilege of having conversations like that, but yeah, it does happen. Okay. So Yolandi, I hope that was like a long path to a short question. Lying to yourself is the worst, yes. Okay, but we also lie to ourselves. Why? Because we were taught to lie to ourselves. Okay, it's like, man, you're fine. I'm not fine. And then people say, no, but you'll be okay, but I'm not okay. Might be okay, but I'm not okay in the moment. Okay, so we are being taught all the time to lie to ourselves. Right. And another thing, another tip for communication is do not suppress the validity of your own feelings and your own experiences. Okay, no matter how insignificant you think they are, do not suppress them. That's not how it works. Okay. People say, I'm fine. This bothers me, but it'll be fine. I'm like, stop. What is it that bothers you? What is this feeling that you're experiencing? Don't just put it down. Okay. And denigrate the feeling. Don't just make it less than it is. Don't minimize that feeling. Okay. Otherwise, we start to learn. If you're lonely, accept it. Feel the loneliness. Experience it to the full degree. If you're angry, yes, you're allowed to be angry. You're just not allowed to hurt people and hurt yourself. But anger is there for a reason. All these emotions are there for a reason. Now we start to suppress them. It's like, oh, I felt a bit proud of doing this. I'm like, a bit. You should be very proud that you did certain things. Okay, it's okay to go through those feelings, but we are taught to say, maybe we should just make it smaller than it is. Okay. People are not really interested in your feelings. Yes, Almarie. But most people cannot even navigate their own feelings. And people will not be, they won't be interested in your feelings if your feelings comes from a place of fear, of judgment, of self-loathing. No, we know we're better than that. So if people share that the whole time, it becomes quite draining. So there are other ways to share feelings: excitement, authenticity, love, kindness, respect, joy, all these things that have a positive impact. If you share them from an authentic place, people actually they're quite willing to listen. Okay. But I can understand that not a lot of people are interested in your feelings because they don't have time and they think it's a burden and they haven't dealt with their own demons. And when I refer to demons, I'm not referring to demons. I'm referring to the emotional demons. Okay, the sadness, okay, the depression, the anger, okay, all those things. That's what I'm referring to. Otherwise, people say, oh, demons. Okay, so it is important to understand that there are emotional experiences that you can have. And if you are authentic around animals, what was the saying? If dogs and children don't trust you, man, I sure don't trust you either. Okay. It's a lot to be said for that. If animals don't trust the person, I'm like, oh, okay, oh, that must be a bit rough one. Then, there's a lot of turmoil happening there. Why? Because do animals see people the same way we do? No, they pick up on the energy. Is there an energetic component in your body? Absolutely. Okay. What energy do you show up with? You show up with crazy energy, calm energy, excited energy, shy energy, because your body will send out some energetic communication. And our brains pick that up, by the way. Not that half of us are aware of it, but they do pick it up. We have to pick it up. It's important to know what it is. So, you want to communicate honestly? First, be vulnerable. What the other person does with that information is not up to you. You cannot know what they're going to do with it. You cannot know how they're going to react. It's not up to you. Are you vulnerable? Yes. This is how I feel. This is what happened that made me feel this way. Can we just communicate about this? That's vulnerable. Not, oh, this is your fault and you made me feel this way. Not true. Cannot make somebody feel that way. Sure, somebody can make me feel angry. It happens quite often. Okay. I get angry, but it's not their fault how I use that anger, how I respond to that anger. Okay. It's not how they make me feel. It's just, this is anger. What am I going to do with it? You made me feel sad. What am I going to do with it? What can we do to not let this happen again? Can we communicate openly, honestly? Vulnerability is important. Is it easy to be vulnerable? Not even close. It's not easy. Okay. If you have to sit with a total stranger and open up your deepest secrets and open up vulnerability, it's not easy. I see that a lot in my practice. The people come sit here like sometimes, it's like scared. And then I tell them, but there's no judgment here. We have to take the judgment out of this. Judgment is not going to solve anything in this situation. Okay. And the nice sentences I usually try them, tell and shock me, please. Give me a story and see if I'll be shocked. That doesn't work that way, because if you're shocked, it's like a judgment reaction. That's not what we want. Okay. So communicating honestly, definitely try it. But to communicate honestly with somebody else and lying to yourself is a nightmare. There's going to be a mismatch, miscommunication. It's not going to flow. All right. So what do you think we need to be honest to ourselves about? What are the things that you think you need to be honest to yourself about? If you have to ask that question, I want you to write in the chat box. What do you think is who we really are? Ken, what is that, Rino? That's a wide definition, who we really are. What's the honesty of who we really are? That's an interesting question, but who you really are. To open up easier with someone who doesn't know me, so I know they won't judge me. Yes. Oh, okay, so that's something you need to work on, Linda. Okay. Difficult one. It is a difficult one, yes. Oh, Marie. It's not easy. These questions are very difficult, but it is in the difficult questions and the difficult awarenesses that our growth lies. Cannot happen any other way. Okay. And it's ironic because if you are born, you're helpless. You're totally dependent on everybody around you. Okay. For a certain amount of years, you are dependent on everybody around you. Now we're like, gee, this is a difficult one. I can't acknowledge my shortcomings, but I have to be honest with you started on this planet, everybody had to help you. Okay. You didn't start off here and went, woohoo, look at me, I can handle everything. It's not how it was designed. So a good thing to ask is, what would be the worst thing that somebody can know about me? We actually, when I did the Lifeline counseling course many years ago, it was a fascinating experience because we had to write on a little piece of paper something that we think nobody knows about us. And then we had to shuffle it in a box. And there were like, I think there were like 14 or 15 of us. And we had to draw this paper out of the box, read what's on the paper, and guess whose secret this was. Yes, that was an interesting exercise. It's like, the person you least expected wrote this, and you're like, what? Such an amazing event. But the first thing was there was a huge amount of trust between the people there because they knew it would have stayed confidential, so we wouldn't share it. But it was a fascinating exercise because how can you link the person to this secret? And the facilitator asked an interesting question. He said, how does it feel to know that somebody's holding one of the biggest secrets in their hands about you? How does that feel? What was the first response? Fear of judgment. Okay. First thing that happened. So we need to start to understand that the fear of judgment, we need to throw it out the window. But unfortunately, society doesn't teach that. Okay. It teaches us that, oh, you have to achieve goals. You have to be this winner. You have to be a success. You have to be this. But success is also roughly not defined as success. If you go see the definition of success and what people think that is, if they just open up their brain a little wider and their view a little wider, it becomes amazing what success actually means to people. Having a family, raising a dog, cooking, success becomes totally different things for different people. It's not only one thing. Okay, so if you have to ask yourself, what is it that I have to know about myself and what do I have to accept about myself? Okay. First standard thing is you are going to die. It's a good acceptance to have. You're not going to live forever. Do you know how long you're going to live? Nobody can say. The probability of you living quite a couple of years, especially in this day and age, is there, but we can't tell. Okay, people disappear all the time. Recent deaths surrounding me, I was like, wow, okay. It's amazing how people just disappear, then they're not there. It's the same that's going to happen to us all. Okay, animals. So that's the first thing you have to accept. You are going to die. But then you also have to accept that you were born, right? Born into a life. Born into a life that wants to be lived. If you have to accept one side, you have to accept both sides of the coin, not just one side. So start maybe there. Okay, you were born. You need food. You are a human. Accept those things. It's okay. You don't have to change all of that. But introspection and observing yourself under certain situations is not easy with today's pressures and the time frames that we have. It's just stress. Goal. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? What are you going to do next? Man, it's a rough way to live. The mind doesn't get a moment of peace. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you start practicing. And if you want to practice and you can't practice people, go stand in the mirror. Do the crazy thing and look at yourself in the mirror and talk to yourself. It's like, what do I need to be honest about? Ask yourself hard questions in the mirror. Okay. It takes practice like everything else. It's interesting if you just ask questions. And imagine all of us on this planet can communicate honestly. Wow. What a planet it would be. All right. If we take away the judgment, we just communicate from places of vulnerability, places of acceptance. Okay. But then some people say, oh, must I just accept that I'm overweight? I'm like, yes. It's the first beginning to healing. You are overweight. Accept it. It's not a fantasy. Now, after you've accepted it, what can you do about it? If you don't accept it, then you're struggling a bit. And I see it in our training as well. Used to see it in our training facility a lot. People train because they want to punish their bodies for being overweight instead of celebrating what their bodies can do. It's a big difference. Celebrate what the body can do. Don't punish it for being overweight. What the hell? If you enjoy movement and you do a lot of different movement, whatever you enjoy, you will definitely lose weight. I'm absolutely certain of it. Okay, but if you punish your body for being overweight, and training is not punishment. It's supposed to be fun. Okay. Awesome, guys. Well, that half an hour went by quickly. All right, Linda, empowering yourself, standing up to bullies in the workplace took me a year, but it's now so much easier because I use my voice in a respectful manner. Yes. Okay. If you are comfortable and you keep incidentally, if there's somebody that bothers you very much, okay, if you tell them honestly what you feel and what your experience is, they are shocked sometimes. They play the victim. How can you say that? It's like, but these are the facts. You stick to the facts and the repercussions of those facts if you talk to those people. If you're going to continue to bully me like this is what's going to happen. 1, 2, 3. Okay. You keep on sticking to the facts. Don't have to make it emotional. This is just a fact. If you speak to me like I'm a dog, well, no, I hope not. Dogs are nice. Let's use another example. If you speak to me like I'm worthless or I'm a bad person and you look down on me the whole time, this is what's going to happen. I'm not going to want to speak to you anymore. We are not going to be able to work together. We're going to have conflict. That's it. It's just the situation. Okay. So, yes, it is important to just observe those things. Interesting discussion. Oh, thank you. Fair enough. All right. All right, guys, any questions? Anything you'd like to know? I hope it made sense. I hope it just gives you some awareness of the importance of you being you, is that you can live an honest and authentic life, not for other people. Heaven forbid, for you, for your own peace. Once you have your own peace, there's so many things that you can do on this planet, and you give other people permission to do the same. If you live your life authentically, if you live your life honestly, and people see that, you give them permission to do the same. Okay, it's the best we can do. All right, Elmarie, my mirror is going to hear me. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Shout at that mirror. Just don't shout at the mirror. Mirror can handle a lot. There's actually some practices in the Eastern and Western practices that you do mirror gazing. You gaze into the mirror for a long time. You sit still and you observe the mirror. That is a weird experience. I think they say people with schizophrenia shouldn't do that. And people on drugs shouldn't do that. Because they're looking in that mirror is something freaky to the mind, because we're not used to seeing our own faces. Now you sit and stare at yourself for like half an hour in the mirror. Weird things happen. It's like, wow. But yes. Okay, Linda, dankie Eden. Elke sessie leer ek meer vir myself. Yes, welkom Linda. Sometimes it is difficult to keep your own peace. Oh, of course, Anna. Welcome to life. It's not sometimes. A lot of the times it's difficult to keep our own peace. But those things that trigger us, those things that push our buttons, once we gain more peace surrounding that, those things seem to lessen. They don't show up in your life as much anymore. And that to me is interesting. Okay. So it's not a failure if you can't keep your own peace. It's not a failure if you get angry. It's not a failure if you have negative emotions. Yes, so many people think, oh, self-pity. I'm like, somebody told me about self-pity and emotions. I'm like, that's not self-pity. That's your emotions. Your negative emotions are not you pitying yourself. It is you growing, experiencing, and learning how to create more peace and navigating your own negative emotions. It's not self-pity. Sure, some people can fall into the trap, but if they just understand that it's not wrong not to keep your own peace. I mean, I work with people. I sometimes don't keep even my own peace, so it's still ongoing work all the time. Okay, it's not wrong. It happens. All right. Awesome. Excellent, Erna. Great, guys. Elmarie, yeah, yes, welcome, Elmarie. Explain it, help. Any questions before we stop for tonight? I don't want to drag this out too long. We also don't want to spend too much time online and on screens. And then people say, I'm tired of a screen, then go watch a movie. It's like, oh, I'm tired of screen time. Let's go chill in front of the movie. Okay. Okay. So if there are no questions, thank you for joining me again tonight. I hope you understand that vulnerability is a necessity for honesty. Okay. And it's important that you understand yourself to be open and honest to the rest of the world and enjoy it.